Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our inaugural Black History Month lecture from the Mary Lou Williams Center. We wish that we could be here with you in person, but we are so glad that you have joined us online this evening. I am Donna Jones, and I have the honor of serving as the director of the Mary Lou Williams Center for Black Culture at Duke University. The Mary Lou, as it's affectionately called, was established in 1983 and is named for renowned jazz artist Mary Lou Williams. Williams served as artist in residence at Duke from 1977 until 1981. She is a Black history icon who changed the landscape of jazz, and we do our best every day to continuously honor her legacy. Our center was born of a movement by Duke students who made Black history themselves by fighting for justice and equality on campus and demanding that a space was created for Black students. We honor the legacy of those Black history icons and thank them for their courage, sacrifice, and fortitude. At the Mary Lou Williams Center, we believe that Black is not a monolith, that Blackness is broad, deep, and diverse, that it should be celebrated, honored, and affirmed, that Blackness is beautiful, and that the legacy of our ancestors should be exalted. Black people deserve a space to be authentically and unapologetically liberated. This Black History Month, we are working to continue to create spaces where our people can thrive and where we can carry out our mission to foster a safe and affirming community that supports the diverse needs of Black identified people. Through this weekend's events and our Black History Month social media campaign, we honor our ancestors and celebrate the accomplishments of those who come before us, those who stand beside us, and those who will continue to make Black history every single day. The Mary Lou team is grateful to our co-sponsors for this event, Student Affairs and Campus Life, the Dean of Students Office, Student Wellness, the Women's Center, the Center for Muslim Life, the Center for Multicultural Affairs, the Center for Sexual and Gender Studies, as well as the Duke Chapel. We thank you so much for your support. The 2022 Black History Month theme, as set by the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, is Black Health and Wellness. And with this theme in mind, we at the Mary Lou could think of no more important a speaker than Tricia Hersey, founder of the NAP Ministry. In the midst of this global pandemic and the struggle to find ways to get back to normal and keep the grind going, rest and wellness should be at the forefront of our thinking. As we pursue effortless perfection at Duke, we must consider how we liberate ourselves from grind culture and allow ourselves to tune into our needs for overall health and wellness. I am excited to hear from Ms. Hersey tonight, and I know that this is a message that we all need. We look forward to your participation, and please feel free to use the Q&A to drop your questions in for our speaker and use the chat for affirmations and communication. At this point, I will invite Vaughn Bledsoe, a Mary Lou Williams Center Able Ambassador, to introduce tonight's speaker.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mary Lou Williams Center Black History Month program. My name is Vaughn Reagan Bledsoe, and today we'd like to introduce you to our guest, Tricia Hersey. Tricia Hersey is a Chicago native and founder of the NAP Ministry. She was born and raised on the South Side of Chicago and has over 20 years experience as a teaching artist, poet, theater maker, and community activist. Her research interests include Black liberation theology, womanist theology, cultural trauma, and somatics. She founded the NAP Ministry in 2016. The NAP Ministry is an organization that examines the liberating power of NAPs. They engage with the power of performance art, site-specific installations, and community organizing to install sacred spaces for the community to rest together. Tricia holds a Bachelor of Science in Public Health from Eastern Illinois University and a Master of Divinity from the Chandler School of Theology at Emory University. Tricia's work as a teaching artist and trainer of arts integrated curriculum has been seen with Chicago Public Schools, Columbia College Chicago, Steppenwolf Theater, Google Chicago, Chicago Park District, Free Street Theater, United States Peace Corps, and numerous community organizations nationwide and internationally. Let us all find a comfortable space and give a warm welcome to Tricia Hersey.
Hi, everyone. Oh my good. I am so excited to be here. I'm watching the chat. I'm seeing people waving. I'm seeing people saying they're resting. And I just want to first just open up this experience tonight by saying thank you. If I could say thank you 1,000 times, it wouldn't be enough. So thank you for choosing to be with us tonight. I mean, it's Sunday night, we're getting ready for Monday. We're winding down on the weekend. And so you could have been anywhere. You could have been reading a book. You could have been, sleeping. I would have loved that. It's so much that is taking our attention away, so much distraction. And so for you to just come on and take this time to kind of come and process and experiment with me, I'm so grateful. So all 129 of you, thank you. I'm honored to be here. I wish I could have been in North Carolina in person, but we're living our new reality with the pandemic. And so I believe that wherever spirit can show up, wherever spirit can show up in person, it can show up through technology, it can be telepathic. So we can connect and bond and hold space and have community care with each other through this beautiful technology. And so someone said they're ready for the word. And I guess with it being Sunday, maybe I'll whip out my Black preaching vibe, and do a little bit of preaching. And I really want to just honor the fact that you can be rested tonight. This is not your normal Zoom webinar. I know we all have been Zoomed out and we are so used to sitting with our back straight at our desks, ready to go with our cameras on because, this is the way. And you don't have to do that today. You can just be. If you can hear my voice and you can find a place to lay down, a blanket, a couch, a floor, a yoga mat, your chair, like my grandmother Aura Caston, who's the muse of this work, who would sit in her chair every single day for 30 minutes to an hour and rest her eyes. We're going to practice that later on. I want us to rest our eyes in this practice because resting and disrupting and pushing back against grind culture's grips on us is a lifelong meticulous love practice. It is not something that's going to happen overnight. People hear about the NAP ministry and they immediately want to jump to, well, how do I do it? How do I rest? How do I get it done? What are the tips? There are no quick fix tips for decolonizing. There are no quick fix for healing and for disrupting and pushing back against these violent systems that have a hold over us. And for that, we should give thanks. For that, we should be so grateful that we don't have to rush. We don't have to be urgent and we don't have to be perfect. All three of those things are functions of white supremacy culture. And so we are not going to be urgent tonight. We are not going to rush. We are not looking for perfection because that does not exist. We are looking for simply to be, to hold space for silence, for daydreaming, for listening, for resting, for slowing down, for care, for experimentation. I want to just name right now, this work is an experimentation, always has been. I started this work to save my own life and it's been nothing but an experimentation. And so for that, I'm grateful. And so have you had your water today? I'll check in quickly for community care. Have you stretched your body? Are you relaxing? Are you laying down? Are you in a space where you can just put the camera, put the phone, put your laptop next to you, and you can start the process of going into the portal of resting? You can begin to slow down and take ease and care and be slow and not rush and welcome in silence. Today's keynote is we are meant to thrive. The time to rest is now. A lot of people in the wellness industry are always speaking about survival, and I'm here because of some surviving people, but I am on thriving. We are about thriving. We are past survival. We're on to the thriving, the divine right that we have as people to thrive, to live in a world free from injustice, free from anti-Blackness, free from ableism, free from homophobia. We are divine human beings with a right to rest, with the right to connect and love ourselves. And so I want to start as you guys are laying down. Hopefully there's some people laying down, some people who stretched out on a mat, some people who are up under a pillow, who are just in a really rested state. Your body is soft. I want to start with some storytelling. It is Black History Month, but for me, I'm always telling stories about my ancestors. I'm always uplifting and honoring them. And this work started for me as an opportunity for me to honor my ancestors. I did not start the NAP ministry to be online, to have this whole global thing. I didn't think not one person would come to our first event. It was just one night only that I was going to host this event for us to rest together, for me to share my thesis around cultural trauma and reparations and ancestor worship, and for me to really dig deep into the idea of rest as reparations. And I was going to just do it for one night. And people came and they slept. 40 people came and they would not wake up. I had to wake them up 2 hours later. And people kept saying, when's the next one? And I really was just creating this work to save my own exhausted soul and to connect with my ancestors and to reclaim the dream space that was stolen from them. And so I want to tell a story. Continue to rest your eyes and breathe deep as I tell you a little bedtime story, a little nap time story about Harriet Tubman. And this is a story that I really just recently found out about in the last 2 years. And so that tells you a lot about how much of our history has been erased and how much of these small micro histories, these small unique things about ourselves, about our culture and about our history that has been stolen from us, that has been hidden, that has been erased, that has been forgotten. And so it is reported that in 1862, let's remember the date, 1862, that Harriet Tubman was sleeping and resting and she had a dream. She was in this deep sleep and she had this dream, and in it, she saw Black people free. She saw Black people free, and she woke up from this dream ecstatic and repeating over and over like a mantra, my people are free. My people are free. This prophetic dream, for her to be reporting, not saying my people will be free, my people are going to get free, we want to get free, but to be in the present tense of saying right now in 1862, my people are free. For her to claim freedom in a moment when her face was literally on fugitive posters all over the land, for her to claim freedom at a time when freedom hadn't yet reached Black people in this culture, for her to wake up and to proclaim over and over again, it's reported she just kept repeating it. It was a mantra, my people are free. I think that's so beautiful and so powerful for this prophetic announcement, for her, this prophetic idea, for her to claim in the present that we are free. And what I want to tell everyone is that that is what we're going to have to do when it comes to claiming and reclaiming our rest. No one is going to give you rest in this culture. All of culture is in collaboration for us not to rest. There will be no permission given. Waiting on white supremacy and capitalism to say, why don't you lay down? Why don't you rest? Why don't you take a break? Why don't you slow down? That will never happen. And so to know that what grind culture is, that it is a collaboration between white supremacy and capitalism, and to begin to understand how subversive, how inventive, how flexible that we're going to have to be, and that rest is spiritual liberation. Rest is a liberation practice. Rest is our power. Rest is a divine and human right. My people are free. Present tense, prophetic. we will have to begin to tap into our imagination, tap into this slow idea to understand what is really happening, for her to receive this prophetic information in a dream. There's so much that we're missing out on because we are exhausted, because we won't stop, because we will never rest, because we won't take a moment to take 10 minutes, because we believe that we don't have time to rest, which is a lie. Rest is always available to us when we reimagine what rest can be in a capitalist society. My people are free. And as you continue to listen and continue to take in these words slowly and let this be a meticulous slow down, I always speak about my grandmother Oracast. And if you've listened to me on any podcast, on any virtual event, yesterday I had the beautiful NAP event with the campus, with people from Duke, and it was beautiful. And I told this beautiful story about my grandmother Oracast, and I'll continue to tell it. I'll uplift my ancestors. I'll uplift this woman who taught me how to rest, who is the muse of this work. And my grandmother Oracast was a refugee from Jim Crow terrorism, born in Mississippi. And like millions of other Black people during the Great Migration, she built a spaceship out of uncertainty and floated her way to the north. Others floated west, but they left the deep South with this idea and understanding that they didn't know what it would be like, where they were going, how it would land, but they just knew that this wasn't it. My grandmother told me she left Mississippi with $25 in her pocket because she had just saw a lynching, and she knew that day that she would never want to see another lynching. So she's literally running from the Ku Klux Klan, running from what was in the South in hopes, this spaceship of uncertainty, not knowing what would be, but knowing that this ain't it, this leaping, this faith to say, I'm gonna go because I wanna build a new world. I wanna imagine and see what else could be, because I know that this violence is not it. And so my grandmother landed in Chicago and raised 9 children. I'm one of her hundreds of grandchildren. She worked 2 jobs when she landed in Chicago. Very quickly, she began to see that it wasn't much different from the South, that the racial terror was everywhere, that everything in culture around her was trying to crush her as a Black poor woman from the South, now in the North, in a major city, working 2 jobs, cleaning homes and also working at a psychiatric hospital as a CNA. But every single day, my grandmother sat on her yellow plastic covered couch while all of her grandkids, me included, running in and out of the house, talking, laughing. She held court for herself, and she sat on that couch every single day and closed her eyes for 30 minutes to 1 hour. In between her 2 jobs, in between raising 9 children, in between growing a garden, in between church, in between community, she sat every single day. And I always thought she was so eccentric. I always was that child that kind of honed in on, like, we were so close. What is grandma doing? Like, is she asleep? Is she just sitting there? She has on her work clothes. Why won't she go to bed? What is she doing? And every single time I would whisper to my cousins and say, everyone be quiet. Grandma's sleeping. And without opening her eyes, every single time she'd say, every shut eye ain't sleep. I'm resting my eyes. I'm listening. I'm listening. And I often wonder now, what was she listening to? And what was this listening giving her? What was this slowing down? What was this meditation? What was this rested moment giving to her so that she can go on in her life, so that she could make a way out of no way, so that she could begin to center her own body, her own safety, her own rest, her own peace, her own wellness. She didn't wait on anyone to give it to her. She did that every single day. And I want to offer to you that resting is always available to us. It is not a luxury. If you don't leave without any information from this thing, I want you to begin to reprogram your brain from the brainwashing that has told you that resting is a privilege, that it is a luxury, that it's something you do after you've earned it, that you have to earn it, that it's something you do after you've burnt out. It's this extra additional frivolous thing for your body. No, resting is our divine and human right. It is who we are. It is nature. It is the foundation that we're going to have to tap into. We're going to have to begin to deprogram our minds. And so right now, I want you to just go deeper and deepen into this rested moment by doing a rest practice that I teach everyone when I have an opportunity to, call resting my eyes, given to me by my grandmother. It's an opportunity for you to see how resting can be reimagined to so many things. If it can't be a full nap, if it can't be this, it can't be that, you can always connect with your body, because grind culture teaches us to continue to disconnect with our bodies, to be disembodied, to ignore our body's wishes. We're tired, push through. Young children are learning very young. You have to go to the bathroom in school, wait until the bathroom time. I don't feel well. Okay, push through and go to work anyway. I was just in a car accident, go to work anyway. I gotta go. Like the way that we begin to ignore our bodies and the cues and the natural syncing up that our bodies want to share with us, our bodies know the way. And so I'm going to ring this sound bowl. And when you hear it, it's an opportunity for you to go deeper into this rested moment, and for us to take an intentional time to hold space for a quiet moment, for a rested moment, for a moment where you can daydream, where you can imagine, where you can rest your eyes like Grandma Aura. When I hit the bell, begin to deepen into the rested moment. And when you hear the bell the second time, that's your opportunity to come back from the portal of rest. And as you come back from that very short but deep moment of rest, my grandmother did it for 30 minutes to an hour. It can be 10 minutes. It can be 5 minutes at your desk. A moment to reconnect, a moment to intentionally push back against a system that wants you going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever and ever. It wants your body always in labor, always in motion, always working. And I want to share the tenets of the NAP ministry. There are 4 tenets that really ground this work, that really push it forward and center it. And so the first one is rest is a form of resistance because it disrupts and pushes back against capitalism and white supremacy. So in such a concise way, it's letting you know this rest as resistance movement that I created, that the NAP ministry holds, is a movement that is about disrupting and pushing back against 2 very violent systems. We believe rest is this moment, is this opportunity for us to use it as a resistance model to be able to disrupt and push back against these two systems that create grind culture. And so to understand and center and understand that this is about more than naps, that this is about more than rest, that this is a political and social justice movement, it's a spiritual movement, it's a politics of refusal. The second one, our bodies are a site of liberation. I don't know if many people have been told in this culture that your body is that, you know, capitalism, white supremacy, ableism, so many patriarchy, all of these oppressive systems have told us that our bodies are to be used for other things. Our bodies don't belong to us. They belong to the clock. They belong to this idea of being a tool for the production of a system that connects our worth to how much we get done, to how much we accomplish, to how much we do, to how much we be, like all these things that are connecting our worth to things that aren't about our worthiness. Our worthiness was given to us at our birth. We are divine. And to continue to say to yourself, you can't have me, like you don't own my body. Like capitalism was created on plantations, and it was Black bodies who were the experimentation for how much a body could hold, for how much the pace that a body could go at, to make a body into a machine. And so to push back and say that we aren't machines, our bodies are not machines, they're a site of deep liberation. And wherever our bodies are, we can find rest, we can find justice, we can find freedom to really reconnect. That's the somatics that really helps to ground this work. The third one is naps provide a healing portal to imagine, to invent, and to heal. I name naps and resting and slowing down and daydreaming, silence as a portal, as a third space that we can go into a spiritual practice to allow us to invent and imagine these new worlds, these new ideas, these beautiful new systems that we want to be centered in liberation. And then the final one is the idea of a dream space. Our dream space has been stolen and we want it back, and we can reclaim it via rest. I think about my ancestors, my grandmother, all the people who, what could they have accomplished if they had a space to rest? What could they have figured out quicker if they had a space to rest and to dream and to imagine? So to me, a dream space is a place that you can go and work things out. A place where you can go and tap into another dimension, tap into a portal, connect with your body. And from a biological standpoint, a neurological standpoint, so many things are happening in our brain, in our organs, in our bodies when we are in a rested state. So many things. We're healing from trauma. We're downloading new information. It is so amazing for our mental health to be able to connect to a dream space, to rest. And then the rest is resistance theory is grounded in the following. I like to put these in here just so that people see that this work is really multi-layered, that it is really centering Black history and Blackness, and it's global, and it adds and sees so many different components. This is about more than that. This is about decolonizing. So Black liberation theologies, which is one of my main research interests when I was in seminary, womanist theology as well, racial justice, social justice, Afrofuturism and imagination, reparations theory and history, community care. We very rarely uplift self-care. We say community care here at the NAP Ministry. We see us not being able to heal alone, us not being able to get to the new world we want alone, that the community is going to have to rally around and make space for ourselves and each other to rest. We won't survive without it. Community care will save us. Spiritual care, somatics, and sleep science and public health. I just wanted to put this very nice definition of womanism, because a lot of people may have not heard of it. And it's really important that people understand how womanism allows for this work to be a global movement, to be a movement that is rooted in Black liberation, but that is a balm for all of humanity. this idea that no one is free until we're all free, the idea that capitalism and white supremacy has affected us deeply in so many deep ways, but so many unique ways based on our history. But at the end of the day, none of us are going to be free until we're all free. And these systems want us all on the clock. These systems want us all working like a machine, and really allows for people to see their space and place in it. And so womanism is a social change perspective rooted in Black women's everyday experiences and everyday methods of problem solving in everyday spaces, extended to the problem of ending all forms of oppression for all people, restoring the balance between people and the environment and nature, and reconciling human life with the spiritual dimension. This idea of an allness, of a interconnectedness, of a solving everyday problems. And so the problem of grind culture is something that's touching and tapping on everyone. This is a definition by Layla Phillips from the book Womanism on Its Own, and it's called in the Womanist Reader. So the name of her article is Womanism on Its Own. Like I said, white supremacy and capitalism has brainwashed us all in very unique ways. So this is the history part of it. This is the part where there's lifelong individual and collective trauma, this ancestral trauma by all people has to begin to start to look at. You got to begin to start to look at your alignment with grind culture, your alignment with white supremacy, your alignment with capitalism, and begin to make space for that healing. Within this reality, sleep, rest, daydreaming, and leisure become a third space and a portal for healing. We can all reclaim the dream space stolen from us by capitalism and white supremacy. Rest disrupts and pushes back. It makes space for healing. It connects us. Rest is a deep portal, and it will take enormous effort in the form of radical healing, change, redemption, and collective care by all of us. It will not be easy. It is a lifelong unraveling. Meticulous love practice begins with us healing our ancestral trauma. Each person has some ancestral trauma and some ancestral wisdom that is a part of their lineage that has to be healed deeply. There's individual personal trauma that you know, that your family knows, that is part of your story that will have to be tapped into. And then the collective trauma that we're all under. And so underneath these things is this really deep well of healing and wellness. Wellness that's not attached to anything on the external. It's all internal. The wellness industry that we're in today is really rooted in capitalism and consumerism. It looks at seeing wellness as something outside of yourself. And really wellness is really everything internal. It's about us and about our healing. Grind culture is a collaboration between white supremacy and capitalism. When we align with these toxic systems, you know, we have to make space to be able to rest and connect. We are the portals. Rest is our foundation. The time to rest is now. And so I'm hoping that you're able to see and begin to open your hearts and minds to the idea of this being an experimentation, a process. It's not anything that's going to happen overnight. It is, people want to know, how do I get there? How do I do it? How do I rest? Before we can even get to that, we have to begin to understand that we deserve rest, that rest is something that is our divine right. We have to begin to boost and buoy up our insides and our self-worth and our self-esteem, and begin to see ourselves as worthy of rest, begin to take away the shame and the guilt that comes when we rest, to begin to name that we have been brainwashed under these systems, and that none of the things that we believe about rest is true, about labor is true, about who we are based on our labor is true, that these all have been lies. And so it's going to take some time of grieving. People want to jump over things so quick. We want to miss steps. And the first step is to begin to start grieving this idea that you've been manipulated and born into a system that sees you really as not worthy of anything unless you're on the clock making money, making income, producing, accomplishing, that your worth has been tied to that. And so to begin to see that and really name it, and to allow rest and grieving and healing to become your new way. This is one of my favorite quotes. It's from a womanist theologian named M. Sean Copeland from her book, In Fleshing Freedom, Body, Race, and Being. And I love it because it just brings together all of the ideas. And it's such a beautiful question to ask yourself, to put in a journal, to continue to deprogram and decolonize and deconstruct around. How do we care for our own bodies as sacred? How do we cooperate to craft a world in which all bodies can thrive? It's such an important question. I've asked this question so many times to people, and so many people have said to me, I never even really thought of my body as a sacred place. I've never thought of my body as a place of liberation, a site of liberation. A lot of people are on the grind. They're caught up in the grind because that's where I was. When I started this organization, I was caught up on the grind so deeply that I didn't think that I could make it. I was so exhausted. My health was not doing well. I wasn't making connections between things that were right in front of me. What happens when we're sleep deprived is really breaking down our system. It's not allowing us to connect. And so it really is interesting to me that we believe that we can solve all these problems, that we can create these new worlds, that we can create justice, we can be justice leaders, that we can build systems that are going to help people from an exhausted state, from a place of exhaustion. Exhaustion will not save us. It is not generative, and it is not anything that will allow us to be able to invent, to restore, to imagine and build this new world that we all keep talking about. You know, post the George Floyd murder and all the racial uprisings, people were speaking so much about, we need a new world, we need some new things, we need abolition, we need, you know, what, this isn't right. You know, everyone got this new awakening. And what I want to say to that is to go into that new awakening using the same tools that you've been taught by this culture is not going to work. Audre Lorde has a beautiful quote: we will not dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. And I like to say that we will not be able to get to these new inventive, liberated ideas from an exhausted state. It's just not possible. And so to imagine a new world that centers liberation, rest must be our foundation to invent, to restore, to imagine, to build. Exhaustion will not save us. It'll just give us more of the same. The work is the rest. Resting is not an extra afterthought. It is the foundation for a liberated world, to connect with our bodies, to connect with the spiritual information that's waiting for us, to slow down, to honor ourselves, to honor each other, to push back against a violent system, capitalism, that wants us working like a machine, that doesn't honor our divinity, that degrades our divinity by not seeing us for the pure miracle that we are. So rest is resistance because of that. It is reparations also for Black people, to reclaim the space that your ancestors couldn't have, to reclaim and connect with them. What a beautiful opportunity. I wanted to let you know that, you know, my first book will be coming out in October 2022. And so it will be an expansive manifesto and memoir that really grounds this work even more, that really is a guidebook, a field guide, a soft pillow in book form for you to hold and put under your pillow, and to begin the slow, meticulous, intentional love practice that is rest, that is honoring rest and honoring yourselves. And so I want to end this with a short poem, because I read these poems all the time. You know, we're known for our collective napping experiences. That's our signature program before the pandemic, when we go out and create these beautiful installation space for people to rest. We've been all over outdoors, yoga studios, church basements, wherever there's a clean floor, we go in and art direct and put beautiful yoga mats and blankets and altars and teas and have people come and rest together. I read this poem because I believe poetry is another language. It's like rest, it is distilled and allows you to see. And so I wanted to just leave you with this offering, with this beautiful poem as you take in all of this information as we end on this Sunday before questions come. I wanted to read this poem over you. I usually walk around the space and just read this over the bodies and minds of rested people laying down on blankets. It's called On This Day by Ruth Foreman from her book Renaissance. She's a beautiful poet. This is a day without chairs, a day where all the rooms melt together and there are only corners and humming, wishes and slight breeze brushing you like palms. This is a day of prayers, a day of painful breaking, a day of peace beneath, a day of arms, of hands, eyes, and quiet windows. I wish you love from your mother backwards. I wish you deep tunnels without fear. I wish you children's laughter. I wish you cactus flowers. I wish you moonlight. I wish you real eyes. I wish you a hand across your back, soft like when you were a child. I wish you tears. I wish you clean. I wish you angels in conference around your bed holding you. So there's no space for me even to touch you. I just watch. I wish your mother watching. I wish you Abalone dreams. I wish you peace. I wish you doves in your kitchen, moonlight in your bathroom, candles when your eyes close and dawn when they open. I wish you so many arms across your shoulders, so many lips kissing your ears that you smile from the inconvenience. I wish all your babies love attacking the center of your heart just so you know they are there. I wish you banisters, railings, and arms around your waist. I wish you training wheels. I wish you strong shoes. I wish you water. Oh, I wish you water. Through your feet flowing like a stream. And I wish you hammocks and melon on your eyes and strawberries in your mouth and fingers in your hand. Fingers in your hand all day through this house, on this day, with no rooms, only corners and an uncommon breeze. And I wish you rest. I think now I'll take some questions, and if some people have any comments, questions, things they want to share, I'll try to get through as many as I can.
Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Jonna Lambert. I'm the Programming Engagement Fellow at the Mary Lou. First, I want to start by saying thank you again, Tricia, for your wonderful, powerful words of wisdom. I think with everything going on in the world, it's such a beautiful thing to be encouraged to rest. And especially you're a Duke, because everyone's stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And just looking in the chat, there's so much love and appreciation.
Oh, let me see. Oh, thank you guys.
And so we're going to start moving into our 15-minute Q&A portion of the evening. Our first question is a really great question. How can we get those really close to us, spouse, children, to understand and grow in embracing of rest?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm the Nat Bishop and I'm still like on my sisters and aunts and cousins and trying to, encourage rest. And, I really think the main thing is to be very patient and to really center grace and mercy, because when you understand, this is the key here, when you really understand how deeply we have been socialized and brainwashed since birth, that this isn't something that just happened overnight, that people aren't just grinding and won't stop and resting because they want to, because they really have been told and manipulated by the system that this is how you have to do to survive. And also, poverty and the reality of capitalism is a real thing. And so there's this really balance that has to be had between people understanding that you can rest, that your worth is enough, that really uplifting people's worthiness and their self-esteem and encouraging grace and mercy. And I think that really is helpful. That has been helpful to me, is to be really slow and meticulous and merciful, to let them know that you are enough now. You don't have to do anymore. And it's just going to be a slow understanding. And also, like my grandmother, what she did, she really modeled rest. And so for my son, I have a 14-year-old son. I modeled rest for him when I was young, when he was younger. Like my grandmother, she's sitting on the couch, for hours a day. And after seeing that every single day my entire life, I began to understand that she was going to make space for her rest no matter what. And so that can be something that is a model, and people can look up to that, and you can be a guide, and you can continue to like be patient with them and to let them know and make space for them to rest, offer this community care aspect. Ask them, have you rested today? Can I do something for you to maybe you can go take a nap, to begin to see resting as part of a healing modality that you can use all the time.
Thank you for that. There's another question in a similar vein. How can I encourage my Duke students to rest and embody stillness when the systems around them are constantly pushing them and punishing them if they rest with bad grades and subtle shame?
Yeah, I started the NAP ministry when I was in graduate school in a very brutal, highly competitive seminary program at Emory University, one of the top seminaries in the world. It was tough, man. It was so tough. Like the expectations, staying up till 4 a.m, studying all day, not getting good grades. And I name academia as one of the headquarters of grind culture. I really do. I really see, that's why I really love working with university students and working on universities, because I understand that it is grind culture headquarters. You know what I mean? It reinforces this idea of go, 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 rest, rest, rest. There is no rest for the weary. And so I think if you want to encourage your students, I have been hearing professors and people working on campuses like adding in rest days in their syllabus, adding in moments when people come to class and they have a 20-minute download break where you just allow the brain to download. I remember some of the lectures I used to sit in on where it's like 2-hour lectures, and I've been sitting in 2-hour lectures all day. There wasn't even a moment for my brain to stop to download this new information. What I found is the more that I started to rest, the better grades I got, the better connections I made. Just from a neurological standpoint, you're learning so much. Your brain needs a moment to rest. So I've been watching professors that I've been working with. People have been sharing on their syllabus with me that they've been adding in rest days, adding in moments to rest, being very flexible in some of their assignments, really having a community care, systems of care that's already in place within their syllabuses, being subversive and flexible and, intuitive about what your students' needs, and kind of being the person who's undercover, pushing back against, like what my grandmother was doing, and other ancestors who found ways to rest even when they were enslaved. And so I really think you're going to have to tap into the subversive nature of being inventive in a system that doesn't want you to rest, and building in those days and moments for them and letting them know, having a lot of grace and mercy. A lot of my professors were so graceful and merciful to me when I was just like, I was up all night, my son was sick, I haven't rested. They're like, just get the paper in when you can. And just trying to be more human and be more connected. I think that could be a beautiful thing for professors and teachers and people working with young people to do.
Thank you for that. Another question we have is, let's see, do you have any specific advice for Black women seniors like me, this is from Tyler Edwards, in the audience who are entering the workforce for the first time?
Okay, so yes, you're about to finish school and you're about to get into the workplace. I would say very number one is to begin to whatever it is, learn how to say no. whatever you got to work through behind the scenes, learn how to begin to establish healthy boundaries. Build into your calendar, into your systems, moments of when you're rested. I have built into my calendar, even when I was just finishing up school, where it was just going to be an hour. I just didn't take no meetings. It's going to be hard. When I tell you, you're going to be an outlier, because this is an outlier movement. Even to this day, people want so much from me as the person who's leading this organization, but they have to understand, to be able to work with me, you're going to have to work under the ways that that I want to. And so you're going to be going into like a corporation or organization, and they may not have the same systems around rest or care. Most likely they won't at all. They'll be just go, go, go. So it's going to be up to you to really look at your calendar as a sacred text, to really start to begin to detox off social media and have days and moments where you just are like, nothing can be booked during this, even if it's 30 minutes, even if it's 15 minutes, and stand on it. Don't let people pull you back in. Have it as just, this is my boundary. This, have it on your emails, have it on your signatures, on your emails. Like, begin to create systems of care for yourself that allow you to have boundaries in space, and make rest a priority for your life. Make slowing down, make silence, make daydreaming, make listening a priority for your life.
Thank you for that. We have a question saying, I'm wondering how a rest ministry might come alongside restorative practices for activists as the BLM movement continues fighting voter suppression, et cetera, and for first responders, teachers, and others on the front line of the pandemic.
Oh yeah, I am an activist. Like, I am an organizer. I've been an organizer and activist since I was in my 20s. My dad was a union organizer and activist. So I was raised in this, and I work with a lot of organizers. I work with a lot of community people who are doing work, Black Lives Matter, a lot Black Youth Project out of Chicago. So I've done a lot of trainings with activists to begin for them to start seeing that resting is not an afterthought, that it must be a part of the strategic planning for the work. It's not something, it is part of the work. It's not something that you're going to be doing after you all exhausted from doing all these direct actions and from organizing all day and being 80-hour. I remember having 80-hour work weeks. We just up all night creating direct actions, creating plans, organizing, helping to get people out of jail, like doing all these things that have to be done. But if there isn't rest as part of a sustainable system, then you're not going to be able to continue. It's just not sustainable. It goes back to the quote, you will not dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. And also, you have to begin to reprogram your brain to understand that resting is a spiritual practice. Organizing and community organizing and activism is also a spiritual practice. I mean, you read any of the people during the civil rights movement, they all spoke very highly about the fact that what they were doing was a spiritual practice, that what they were doing was spiritual work. And so to begin to tap into the idea that there has been work done for us behind the scenes that we can't see or don't want to see because we're like, there's a spiritual deficiency there. And so to begin to believe rest as part of the work, that it is not an afterthought, that resting will allow you to be able to come up with these inventive ideas, to allow you to tap into information and ideas and connections that you could never make in an exhausted state. And so to see rest as a generative place, as a place of generative ideas, that really helps people, because we don't think that. We think resting is nothing. When I got to be doing something. Everyone is like, when I rest, I feel like I got to be doing something. Resting is doing something. You're doing a whole lot when you're resting. Your body, your mind, your energy, your spirit is really connecting in a way that if you don't do it, you're going to be missing out. There's so much information that is waiting for us in our dreams, so much information that is waiting for us to tap into when we're in a rested state, when our brain isn't exhausted. There's a book out that you may like called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. He's a neuroscientist, and it's a really beautiful book. It is science, but he's written in a way that's really beautiful, that really talks about what's happening in our brains and bodies when we're resting, when we're sleeping. And once you read this book, you will not sleep, because you're going to be able to see all of these connections that your body is working in this like genius level state to be able to get to your goals and accomplishments. And so people talking about the first responders, teachers, teachers are doing a lot of work around resting, using a lot of our theories, teaching it to young people, the people who are on the front line in the pandemic. Bless them. I just say bless them, and so much mercy and grace to them, because they're pushing their bodies to the limit. And so I do have this NAP ministry hotline that you can call into. It's 1-833 Love Naps, I believe. And I put that up for people like chaplains and first line nurses and people who are really just working so much, just feel like they can call in and have a moment of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes where they just decompress. Finding moments to rest, snatching rest, seeing rest as an ethos, as a point of view, as something deeper than just taking a full nap, seeing it as really a connection. Any way that you connect with your body and mind is rest. And so I offer that to people. You have permission to examine and experiment what rest can be for you. Resting can be drinking tea at night in a dark room. It can be prayer. It can be yoga, taking a short walk, closing your eyes like my grandmother. Anything that is going to allow you to begin to connect and inhabit your body and your mind in a way that grind culture doesn't allow you to do is really going to be very beneficial for anyone who's working as an activist or anyone who's working in any type of justice field.
Thank you once again. It looks like we're at time for the Q&A portion. There's a lot of really great questions. But thank you again for your wisdom and for answering these questions and for all the things that you've imparted on us. It's really, really important and very, very urgent. Thank you once again. And thank you everyone for your questions and being with us tonight. We're gonna transition into the closing remarks. So now I would like to introduce Mamie Webb Bledsoe, Assistant Vice President of Duke Durham Neighborhood Partnership and Community Development, for our closing remarks.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here to participate and to hear from Tricia. Ms. Hersey, you are so on point. I have to say, I'm working at Duke for 20 years in the neighborhoods that's around Duke, around trust issues and understanding what it's like to deal with a lot of different kinds of complicated issues that neighborhoods are experiencing, such as housing and looking for affordable housing. It means people are dealing with so much that they cannot always have answers and solutions for. So having the opportunity to rest is so important in my work. I have to find that it is important for me to model it, even for my staff, to really find ways in which we can take time to find grace, to be authentic and in the moment is so vital to us getting it right. And so I just want to applaud all that you have said tonight, to affirm it, and to also ask and challenge others that are listening to take advantage of being very intentional about rest. It really adds more benefit to you as an individual. It provides you so much more in terms of your own personal care. And I hope that we all will hear that and also model it, and to take advantage of what Ms. Hersey has said to us all tonight. Again, thank you for being a part of this meeting tonight, and I thank you for allowing me to have your closing remarks. Again, thank you.